Chapter 26. Chapters on Sacrifices. Chapter 1. The Sacrifices of the Messenger of Allah. Source. It was narrated from Anas bin Malik. The Messenger of Allah used to sacrifice 2-horned black and white rams, and he would say the name of Allah and pronounce his greatness. I saw him slaughtering them with his own hand, putting his foot on their sides. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Jabir bin Abdullah said, "The Messenger of Allah sacrificed 2 rams on the day of Eid. When he turned them to face towards the prayer direction, he said, 'Verily I have turned my face towards him who has created the heavens and the earth, as a monotheist, and I am not of the polytheists. Verily my prayer, my sacrifice, my living, and my dying are for Allah, the Lord of all that exists. He has no partner, and of this I have been commanded, and I am the first of the Muslims.'" 679, 162 to 163. O Allah, from you to you, on behalf of Muhammad and his nation, great Hassan. It was narrated from Aisha and Abu Huraira that when the Messenger of Allah wanted to offer a sacrifice, he brought 2 large fat-horned black and white castrated rams. He slaughtered one on behalf of his nation, for whoever testified to Allah with monotheism and that he had conveyed the message, and he slaughtered the other on behalf of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. Great Hassan. Chapter 2. Are sacrifices obligatory or not? It was narrated from Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah said, "Whoever can afford it, but does not offer a sacrifice, let him not come near our prayer place." Great Hassan. It was narrated that Muhammad bin Sirin said, "I asked Ibn Umar about sacrifices and whether they are obligatory. He said, 'The Messenger of Allah and the Muslims after him offered sacrifices, and this is the Sunnah.'" Another chain reports exactly the same. Great Daif. It was narrated that Miknaf bin Sulaim said, "We were standing with the Prophet at Arafat, and he said, 'O people, each family each year must offer udhiyah and aftira.'" Chapter 3. The reward for offering the sacrifice. It was narrated from Aisha that the Prophet said, "The son of Adam does not do any deed on the day of sacrifice that is dearer to Allah than shedding blood. It will come on the day of resurrection with its horns and cloven hoofs and hair. Its blood is accepted by Allah before it reaches the ground, so be content when you do it." Great Daif. It was narrated that Zayd bin Arqam said, "The companions of the Messenger of Allah said, 'O Messenger of Allah, what are these sacrifices?' He said, 'The Sunnah of your father Ibrahim.' They said, 'What is there for us in them?' 'O Messenger of Allah,' he said, 'for every hair 1 merit.' They said, 'What about wool?' 'O Messenger of Allah,' he said, 'for every hair of wool 1 merit.' Great Daif. Chapter 4. What sacrifices are recommended? It was narrated that Abu Sa'id said, "The Messenger of Allah sacrificed a horned, defectless ram with a black stomach, black feet, and black around its eyes." Great Hassan. Yunus bin Maisara bin Halbas said, "I went out with Abu Sa'id as-Suraki, the companion of the Messenger of Allah, to buy animals or sacrifice." Yunus said, "Abu Sa'id pointed to a ram that had some blackness around its ears and jaw, and was neither too big nor too small, and said to me, "Buy this one for them, as it seems to resemble the ram of the messenger of Allah, great Hassan." It was narrated from Abu Umama al-Bahili that the messenger of Allah said, "The best of shrouds is a two-piece Najrani garment, and the best of sacrifices is a horned ram, great Daif." Chapter 5. Number of persons for whom a camel and a cow is sufficient. It was narrated that Ibn Abbas said, "We were with the messenger of Allah on a journey, and the day of Al-Adha came. We sacrificed one camel on behalf of 10 people and one cow on behalf of 7, great Hassan." It was narrated that Jabir said, "We offered sacrifices at Al-Hudaybiyah with the Prophet, a camel on behalf of 7 people and a cow on behalf of 7, great Sahih." It was narrated that Abu Hurairah said, "The messenger of Allah slaughtered a cow on behalf of all his wives who had performed Umrah during the farewell pilgrimage, great Daif." It was narrated that Ibn Abbas said, "Camels became scarce at the time of the messenger of Allah, so he commanded them to sacrifice cows, great Daif." It was narrated from Aisha that the messenger of Allah sacrificed one cow during their farewell pilgrimage on behalf of the family of Muhammad, great Sahih. Chapter 6. How many sheep should be sacrificed in place of one camel? It was narrated from Ibn Abbas that a man came to the Prophet and said, "I have to offer a sacrifice and I can afford it, but I cannot find a camel to buy." The Prophet told him to buy 7 sheep and slaughter them, great Daif. It was narrated that Rafi bin Khadij said, "We were with the messenger of Allah in Dhul Hulayfa in the land of Tihama. We acquired sheep and camels, and the people hastened to put cooking pots on the fires before they had been distributed. The messenger of Allah came to us and ordered that they be overturned. Then he made one camel equivalent to 10 sheep, great Sahih." Chapter 7. What qualifies as a sacrifice? It was narrated from Uqba bin Amir al-Juhani that the messenger of Allah gave him some sheep, and he distributed them among his companions to be sacrificed. There remained an utud. He mentioned that to the messenger of Allah, and he said, "You sacrifice it yourself, great Sahih." Bilal bint Hilal narrated from her father that the messenger of Allah said, "It is permissible to offer a jadha among sheep as a sacrifice, great Daif." It was narrated from Asim bin Kulayb that his father said, "We were with a man from among the companions of the messenger of Allah who was called Mujashi from Banu Sulaim, and sheep became scarce. He ordered a caller to call out that the messenger of Allah used to say, 'A jadha suffices for whatever a 2-year-old sheep suffices, great Sahih." It was narrated from Jabir that the messenger of Allah said, "Do not slaughter anything but a musina unless there is none available, in which case you can slaughter a jadha among sheep, great Sahih." Chapter 8. What is this like to use for a sacrifice? It was narrated that Ali said, "The messenger of Allah forbade sacrificing the Mukabala, the Mudabara, the Sharka, the Karka, and the Jada, great Hassan." It was narrated that Ali said, "The Messenger of Allah commanded us to examine the eyes and ears." Great Hassan. Sulaiman bin Abdurrahman said, "I heard Ubayd bin Fayrus say, I said to Bara bin Asib, tell us of the sacrificial animals that the Messenger of Allah disliked or forbade." He said, "Allah's Messenger said like this with his hand, and my hand is shorter than his hand. There are 4 that will not be accepted as sacrifices. The one-eyed animal that is obviously blind in one eye, the sick animal that is obviously sick, the lame animal with an obvious limp, and the animal that is so emaciated that it is as if there is no marrow in its bones." He said, "And I dislike that the animal should have some fault in its ears." He said, "What you dislike, forget about it, and do not make it forbidden to anyone." Great Sahih. It was narrated from Qatada that he said that he heard Juray bin Kulayb narrate that he heard Ali narrate that the Messenger of Allah forbade sacrificing animals with broken horns and ears. Great Hassan. Chapter 9. One who buys a sound, healthy animal, then something happens to it while it is in his care. It was narrated that Abu Sayyid al-Khudri said, "We bought a ram for sacrifice, then a wolf tore some flesh from its rump and ears. We asked the Prophet and he told us to offer it as a sacrifice." Great Daif. Chapter 10. One who offers a sheep on behalf of his family. It was narrated that Atta bin Yasar said, "I asked Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, how were sacrifices offered among you at the time of the Messenger of Allah?" He said, "At the time of the Prophet, a man would sacrifice a sheep on behalf of himself and the members of his household, and they would eat some of it and give some to others. Then people started to compete, and it because as you see nowadays." Great Daif. It was narrated that Abu Sariha said, "My family started to put pressure on me after I came to know the Sunnah. People used to sacrifice 1 or 2 sheep, but now our neighbors call us stingy." Great Sahih. Chapter 11. The one who wants to offer a sacrifice should not remove anything from his hair or nails during the 10 days at the beginning of Dhul Hijjah. It was narrated from Salama that the Prophet said, "When the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah begin and one of you wants to offer a sacrifice, let him not remove anything from his hair or skin." Great Sahih. It was narrated from Salama that the Messenger of Allah said, "Whoever among you sees the new crescent of Dhul Hijjah and wants to offer a sacrifice, let him not take anything from his hair or nails." Great Sahih. Chapter 12. Prohibition of slaughtering the sacrifices before the Eid prayer. It was narrated from Anas bin Malik that a man slaughtered on the day of sacrifice, meaning before the Eid prayer, and the Prophet ordered him to do it again. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Aswad bin Qais that he heard Jundub al-Bajali say, "I was present on Adha day with the Messenger of Allah, and some people slaughtered before the prayer. The Prophet said, whoever among you has slaughtered before the prayer, let him repeat his sacrifice, and whoever has not, let him offer his sacrifice in the name of Allah." Great Sahih. It was narrated from Uwaymir bin Ashkar that he slaughtered before the prayer, and he mentioned that to the Prophet, who said, "Repeat your sacrifice." Great Sahih. It was narrated that Abu Said al-Ansari said, The messenger of Allah passed by one of the houses of the Ansar and noticed the smell of a cooking pot. He said, "Who is this who has slaughtered?" A man from among us came out and said, "It is me, O messenger of Allah. I slaughtered before the prayer, so that I could feed my family and neighbors." He commanded him to repeat it. He said, "No, by the one besides whom there is none worthy of worship, I do not have anything but a 1-year-old sheep or a lamb." He said, "Sacrifice it, but a 1-year-old sheep will not do for anyone after you." Great Hassan. Chapter 13. One who slaughters his sacrifice with his own hand. It was narrated that Anas bin Malik said, "I saw the messenger of Allah slaughter his sacrifice with his own hand, placing his foot on its side." Great Sahih. Abdur Rahman bin Saad bin Amr bin Saad, the Muaddin of the messenger of Allah, told us, "My father told me from my grandfather that the messenger of Allah slaughtered his sacrifice at the side of an alley on the road of Banu Sureik with his own hand, using a blade." Great Daif. Chapter 14. The skins of the sacrificial animals. Ali bin Abu Talib narrated that the messenger of Allah commanded him to distribute the entire sacrificial camel, its meat, skin and covers, among the poor. Great Sahih. Chapter 15. Eating from the sacrificial meat. It was narrated from Jabir bin Abdullah that the messenger of Allah ordered that a piece from every camel that had been slaughtered be brought and placed in a pot. Then they ate from its meat and drank some of the broth. Great Hassan. Chapter 16. Storing the meat of sacrificial animals. It was narrated that Aisha said, "The messenger of Allah only forbade storing the meat of the sacrifices because the people were facing hardship, then later he permitted that." Great Hassan. It was narrated from Nubaysha that the messenger of Allah said, "I used to forbid you to store the meat of the sacrifices for more than 3 days, but now eat some and store some." Great Sahih. Chapter 17. Slaughtering at the prayer place. It was narrated from Ibn Umar that the Prophet used to slaughter at the prayer place of the Eid congregation. Great Hassan.